In this tutorial, we're going to look at setting up our user interface. If your user interface doesn't look exactly like mine does now, have a look in the comments below for the previous tutorial, and that will help you catch up. But one of the very first things I like to do as a developer principal is actually change the name of the form from Form 1 and give it a real name. In our case, in our development here, I'm just going to put www.earlmarsden.com, but you can put your name in there. When we click back on the form now, you notice that the form name's changed. This way, if you're a student, you can actually see that it's your work. If you're developing applications or learning to develop application, you could actually put the application name up here. Now, developing a user interface is different to coding. Using the Visual Studio, we can actually drag objects out onto our stage. So rather than having to program a button or text areas, we can actually add objects to our stage. So in our toolbox, I want to select Common Tools. This shows us all the main ones that we use. Some of the main ones we will be using is something like a button. So I'm going to click on the button, come out, and then click and drag. Another object we're going to use is a label. Now a label is different to a text box because a label only holds text. We can't interact with this. So in other words, we can't type into it. If we want to type into it, we would actually put something out like a text box. So I'm going to place a text box here, and I'm going to place another text box underneath this. So we have two text boxes. We can also add a third text box, but this time, if I want it to be a big output area, I could actually draw a big text box and let it go. But the problem is it snaps back to just a single line. To have it full screen, we need to actually click on the little tab and then click on multi-line. Then it opens up to a full panel. Some other properties about text boxes. If we go over the properties window, you can see that it's called text box 3. This is going to be our output area. So I want to change its name. So I'm going to head down to the bottom of the list to where its name is. We're going to use a Hungarian notation and go TXT, and then we're going to apply CamelCase. So we're going to put output. And what that means is that every word that we use starts with a capital there on out. So TXT is the Hungarian, and then we use capitals going along. This will also help us identify text boxes in our coding by just typing TXT. Visual Basic will give us a list. So as we go through and have a look at them, so this text box here is text box 1. We're going to change this to TXT dice size, and you can see there's two capitals in there, and that's using CamelCase. And this one here would be number of roles. So TXT number of roles. Now this is the label up here. So I'm going to take the label and I'm going to head back in here, and you can see its name is label 1. But what I want to do is actually change the text that's in there, what's written. So I'm going to head back up the list because we don't need to change label names. And in text, this is the text that appears here. And I want to change that to dice tracker or dice face tracker. And then if I want to change the actual look of it, I can head up a little bit further and you'll see fonts. If I click on that and the dots next to it, it opens a window. I can actually select a different font, say 24 size, and I can make it bold and pick whatever font I would like to choose. Let's pick an easy one like Comic Sans and click on OK. If you want to change its color, then we'll select its control text. Click the arrow down, select custom, and then you can pick a color out of the custom colors. So I'm just going to select blue. So that enables you to actually change all your labels. In our layout, I'm going to make the screen just a little bit bigger. I'm going to move this text box down to the bottom, and then I'm going to place some labels. So I'm going to go back in and select labels, click on the stage, and this is going to be our results. So head back over the text and put dice roll results. It's important to have your labels be informative as possible. I'm going to also now copy Command C, Command V, and then I can move that into position here. And then I'm going to go Command V again and move this one in position. This one correlates to this one here, which was the number of roles, or text dice size. So the text here I want to change to dice size. And this one's going to be number of rolls. To adjust multiple objects, you can actually click and drag and move them up. And do the same here. If I want to nudge them, I can use my arrow keys on my keyboard and nudge them into position. And the little lines help you adjust everything as you go along. Now the last thing I need to do is actually label my button. This is also known as a trigger. So this will also be the event that starts our program running. So at the moment it's just got button 1, so I want to change its face value. I'm going to put roll dice, and then in its instance name we're going to use btn start, or to keep it consistent we'll call it btn roll dice. Now to check our user interface, I'm just going to click Start. And now we should be able to type in numbers into the text boxes. Also, you can type in this text box here, but that's okay at the moment. This is going to be used in the output area. And the button actually has some actions, but doesn't actually carry out any code. Then we can stop the program by clicking on the X. So what we've done so far is actually use our toolbox to drag out some simple objects. You've also got radio buttons and things like that you can use in your projects. We've labelled the text boxes using Hungarian notation and CamelCase, and we've laid the objects out in an intuitive way so our end users will be able to look at the program and use the program without having to be given any instructions. So I hope you found this tutorial useful. In our next tutorial we'll look at our coding. So give it a like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.